Peggy Serino first.
Yeah, go down. If you'd like to do both now, do it.
Be happy to. All right, good evening. The Devon School was sold to a supporter and donor of the Guy in the Corner office for $950,000 with a triple net lease, which is a lease agreement on a property whereby the tenant or the leasee promises to pay all the expenses of the property, including real estate taxes, building insurance, and maintenance, in addition to the cost of rent and utilities. The city has been paying these costs, which I believe come to around $1 million a year. Now, in a standard commercial lease agreement, some or all of these payments are typically paid by the landlord. Now, the Guy in the Corner office now wants to use ARPA funds to take back the Devons for $9,900,000. Don't you think the owner of this property has gotten a sweetheart deal? The Devons is already being used as a school, so it won't help with the overcrowding. Pope John would help with the overcrowding. If the Devons is worth 10 times more than it was sold for, so is Pope John. Pope John was bought for over $10 million, so now it must be worth over $100 million. And the Guy in the Corner office wants to tear it down. And the Guy in the Corner office to tear it down and put up 2 apartment buildings when we need a school to alleviate the overcrowded conditions in the city. We already have 2 new elderly buildings, St. Teresa's, which has already been built, and Garvey Street was in the process of being built. Why didn't the supporter and donor of the Guy in the Corner office, who supposedly bought the Devons to put up elderly housing, do it? I've always felt that the ARPA funds should be split between the needs of our elderly and youth. We aren't maintaining the elderly housing we have. We've been talking about Glendale Towers since last August, and nothing has been done so far as I know. The senior center roof was talked about right in this council about, a month ago or so. Now, I've been out talking to people, and they're saying the roof at the Conley Center, where the senior center is, has been leaking for years. This is nothing new. I don't know. You have to ask why.
Peggy, round 2, the next.
Sure. I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll do that. Surrounding cities and towns have road runners for seniors. They take care of their property. Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we using ARPA funds to alleviate the overcrowding in our schools? But our seniors and children don't seem to get anything. The ARPA funds used to alleviate these things could really help out. The Guy in the Corner office's friends who got the deal seems to have a sweetheart deal. But our seniors and children don't get them. But our taxpayers get substantial tax increases to pay for these sweetheart deals. I'd like to talk about the charter. The charter has given the mayor of the city a seat on the school committee and a vote. The mayor does not run for the school committee. He does not spend the time, the effort, or the money to run for the school committee. I believe the charter should be changed and he should be taken off of it. He has no right to serve on there. Now we want to change the school representative, and we want to give them a vote on the school committee. They have not run for the school committee. Why should they have a vote? The people elect the members of the school committee, and those are the people should have a vote, no one else. And I still feel that the Common Council needs their own lawyers. And the credit cards that are on the agenda this evening, there's no explanation of what this is about. None at all. Everybody is confused. I think you need to explain what that money is going to be used for. Because I've just found out that the City Hall, different departments and so forth have credit cards, and I don't understand why anybody in City Hall needs a credit card. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Paula Starini.
Paula, if you'd like to do both.
Okay.
Do 'em.
Good evening. Where to start? Councilor Smith, I supported your attempt to eliminate the credit fee waiver. Maybe if you explained it to your colleagues and the taxpayers, that we are actually paying the credit card fees and our taxes, and the less expensive homeowner is actually subsidizing the more expensive homes or the owners with multiple properties with the 3% applied. I think there's just a lack of understanding of what you're going after. I appreciate your efforts to cut expenses, but I don't understand why there's no questioning of the Playfit for not paying anything to the city while running her business out of the old high school, on the nonprofits and clubs using both the old high school and Pope John at no cost. The combined cost for the two buildings' utilities, just utilities, is close to $500,000 a year. Before any decision on buying the Devon School, shouldn't the City Council get to read the school study done in 2020? The school department paid $8,000 in February 2020 for the study done by the Mount Vernon Group. The mayor and the Mount Vernon Group have copies. Why do you think they are delaying releasing it to you, the school department, and the public? A letter was sent to from the Devon's owner to the mayor in June of 2022. Shouldn't we see the letter sent last June? Who was involved in negotiations? Hopefully not the same people who negotiated the leasing agreement in 2012. The Devons was closed, so I assume the former superintendent told the mayor and the city council the school department didn't need the school anymore. In 2009, the city sold the school for $950,000 with the caveat for 22 senior apartments. Sound familiar? Then I assume the former superintendent told the mayor and the city council the department needed the building back as a school, which he started leasing in 2013. So how is this any different from the current superintendent requesting the use of Pope John to alleviate overcrowding in the elementary schools? A school, by the way, we own. Follow Councilor Smith and Councilor Marchese's suggestion, use $20 million of the ARPA funds to renovate Pope John. We are talking about improving school conditions for 5,000 children in all our elementary schools by moving 1,000 kids to the Pope John and using it as a junior high. Forcing the school department to rent a building for $3 million a year for several years instead of renovating Pope John is a classic double standard on why the Department of Justice is investigating the mayor, his administration, and the city. Do you think the former superintendent would have been denied Pope John? I want to share some of my thoughts on your terms as counselor. I call it term in review. This council started out very promising with a healthy debate on longevity and following up with sending a letter to the IG's office for a decision on the mayor's, if the mayor needed to pay back the $180,000 or not. After that, there were discussions, but your priorities and decisions seem misplaced and misguided to what the residents of Everett need, want, or deserve. The residents of Everett want the kids to have an opportunity to get a good education, and that includes a desk, a chair, in a classroom, not in a hallway or a closet. Remember when Everett schools were Everett Pride. Then the community had meetings about Pope John. You all agree it needed to remain a school. Even the neighborhood development group agreed and sent a letter to the city saying Everett needed a school. But when push came to shove, most of you folded to the mayor when he said no. Not sure you realize this, but we live in a democracy, and similar to the U.S. Congress, you have power, but for some reason you don't want to use it. The residents want affordable housing, not luxury apartments. $2,500 for a 440-square-foot studio is not affordable or desirable for most Everett residents. The residents want business with good local jobs. So while you banned animal testing, members from the La Comunidad are surveying and educating the community on the importance of life science jobs. You passed banning animal testing without really understanding the impact or consequences of businesses you were shutting out of Everett. Remember the Davis Group, the Davis Company? So much promise, but after your vote, along with any other commercial developer, they all disappeared. The residents want to know the people working for Everett can pass a Corey test. The residents want their neighborhoods protected from developers tearing down homes and businesses and building monstrosity residential developments. The resident wants to be able to drive down Broadway and not take 45 minutes to go a half a mile. The residents want to go out and have a place to park when they come home. You paid $850,000 in 2023 for lawyers' fees without having a clue of what they were doing or defending. In 2002, in June 2022, you passed a budget that resulted in the largest tax increase we can remember. In June of 2023, you passed even a larger budget. Any doubt our taxes will increase? If you are interested in environmental change, change the zoning and stop the Board of Appeals from approving projects that waive parking requirements and require some green open space.
Paula, can you finish up?
Okay. Stop Everett from becoming a concrete jungle. You'll be voting on some breeder ordinance. That's your priorities. And finally, we have 2-minute clocks. I hope all your campaigns highlight the atomic clock as one of your major accomplishments. Thank you.
Next speaker is Wendy Post.
Hi, good evening. Wendy Post, Ward 2. I would like to discuss the Quarry policy regarding the code of conduct for all municipal employees. There is an ordinance that directly relates to tonight's agenda item C017923, requesting the presence of the HR director to discuss the status of the quarry SORI once a city employee is hired. The current ordinance states, and I quote, "Whereas the city charter of the City of Everett mandates that the City Council establish a code of conduct for all municipal employees of the City of Everett. The purpose, as stated on the ordinance, is to ensure that private financial interests and personal relationships of municipal employees do not conflict with their public obligation to act objectively and with integrity." One of my favorite words, integrity. The ordinance goes on to state, "This chapter is written to prevent municipal employees from becoming involved in a situation which could result in or give the appearance of unethical or illegal behavior." That didn't go so well. This chapter restricts what municipal employees may do on the job, after hours, and after leaving public service. I would imagine being a sex offender while being employed as a firefighter would go against this ordinance, don't you all? To continue with the ordinance, and I quote, "It is essential for the continued well-being of the City of Everett that its citizens have full confidence in the integrity of its municipal employees. The City of Everett desires to promote such confidence by demanding the highest standards of ethical conduct for each municipal employee. Remember, many of the municipal employees enter people's homes. How can the city demand the highest standards when it doesn't follow their own rules?" Continuing on, I'm quoting again, "It is required that municipal employees conduct themselves in such a way that their behavior, both in practice and appearance, conforms to the highest standards of ethical conduct." How is allowing a sex offender to be a firefighter ethical? How is it moral or even show integrity? What is the purpose of ordinances if nothing is done with this information? The administration can write all the policies and ordinances they want. Abiding by them is what matters. Perhaps with proper follow-through with the policies, ordinances, and guidelines, the city won't have a repeat of what happened to me. Thank you.
Our next speaker is John McDonald.
Good evening. I am here today to speak out against the use of ARPA money to purchase the Devon School property. Yes, we need a school. No, we should not use the ARPA money to purchase it. I will quote what was published on the Everett website last year about ARPA money. "This funding will ensure that our city and our many residents have what they need to recover from the pandemic and help build a stronger Everett. Supporting Everett families is the main focus of this effort." I'm sorry, but this is not happening. So far, very little, if anything, has been done with ARPA money that benefits Everett families. There is no transparency in the process at all, and you can't even find anything on the website about ARPA anymore except a couple little graphics. Last fall, at the ARPA meeting, it was pointed out that $36 million of ARPA money had already been allocated. They had a slide showing where this money was going. That left $10.1 million for the residents to weigh in on how it should be spent. Now the mayor wants that $10 million. So basically, there is nothing left to help the Everett families. Why are we spending ARPA money to buy the Devon School? In my opinion, the whole fiasco of selling the school, then renting the school, then buying the school back is just a scam, allowing someone to make millions of dollars at the taxpayer's expense. If you're going to spend $10 million, use it to renovate something we already own, like the Pope John School, and stop renting the Devon School and turn it into elderly housing like the developer promised. On another note, the approval of the 2024 budget without any significant cuts is outrageous. I am sure I am not the only taxpayer in Everett that is sick and tired of this kind of uncontrolled spending by the leadership of our city. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sandy Giuliano.
Good evening. Tonight, like just about everybody else, I want to speak about item number 6 on the agenda. $10 million of taxpayer money on a building the city used to own. I've pulled the public record cards on both the former Devon School and Pope John. The Devons on Church Street is a parcel of land about 26,000 square feet, while Pope John is over 106,000 square feet. The Devon School is assessed at $3,448,400, while Pope John is assessed at $15,763,500. The city paid the Archdiocese $10,500,000 for Pope John, which sounds like an extremely fair price. Now, based on that information, how can any of you justify paying almost the same price for a parcel not even remotely as large? No wonder you discussed this topic in executive session. The taxpayers would be up in arms. Maybe you should yet again consider overriding the mayor, giving Pope John to the school department, having them designate a complete floor to the students that are now currently housed at the Devons, and use the rest of the building for a junior high school. That would eliminate a large chunk of cash going out, saving the taxpayers quite a bit of money, solving the overcrowding school issues, and maybe force the owner to go back to the original plan. I'll wait while Vivian finishes talking. Or solve the overcrowding school issues and maybe force the owner to go back to the original plan to convert the Devons into affordable senior housing. Centrally located in the area of the square, close to public transportation, close to the Conley Center, that would be an ideal location for seniors. This item should not be a slam dunk tonight. You're not spending money out of your pockets, you're using taxpayers' money. I don't care if it's ARPA money or not. You're using money. It's no branch of the government is a money-making entity. All the money for any branch of the government comes from taxpayers. Thank God it's an election year. I don't know how much longer the city can afford to have some of you in office. Thank you. Happy 4th of July.
Our next speaker is Steve Iannacco.
Good evening, Mr. President and councilors. I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. John Popolo this evening. Good day, y'all. I won't go into the history of the Devon School, about what bad business decision it was and apparently now continues to be, or that the owner is another long-term donor positioned to make millions off of someone's really bad decisions. I will merely point out that had the mayor, as he agreed, got Pope John ready to accept students, we will be able to walk away from the Devon School lease next year. But bad decision on top of bad decision plagues this city. You do realize the Devon School purchase is a net zero for student overcrowding relief. The ARPA money should go to Pope John as City Council requested. The proposed purchase versus invest in Pope John is a really bad decision, especially considering there is no new high school on the horizon. With best regards, Mr. John Popolo. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Our next speaker is Sam Lambert.
Good evening, Sam Lambert, 20 Pierce Ave. Thank you, President Marchese and the rest of the council. Very quickly, I just wanted to ask for your support in passing item number 7, an ordinance amending section 32B1 of the zoning ordinance, inclusionary zoning, and also ask that this just be a beginning. We need to start having much more comprehensive conversations about housing in our community and what does affordability really mean. Just on Saturday, we had a group of residents that presented an incredible amount of information on AMI, what affordability looks like, how we get to where we need to be to keep Everett residents that want to call Everett home to be able to stay. The other pieces I wanted to talk about, there was a lot on this, and I know you're not meeting for a few months, so bear with me. Item number 10, the Licensing Commission needs to be more proactive in reaching out to our business owners before making decisions that impact their livelihoods. You know, determining what entertainment is it does not make sense to me how this decision was made and for what purposes, and it seems very arbitrary, especially to not have that conversation beforehand. And finally, a number of items related to planning, transportation, zoning. I fully support a comprehensive zoning plan where we can have a very large conversation about how to keep our neighborhoods, how to have a thriving business district and net zero buildings moving forward. I think it's a conversation we should all have. And the final piece is 15 months ago, I sat up here with a group of young people and asked for a ban on plastic bags. Single-use plastic is the bane of our existence, and you won't pay for it, I won't pay for it, but my children and my grandchildren and yours will be paying for it. Only 1% to 3% of plastic bags are recycled annually. These are forever plastics. So please use the checks and balances at your disposal, hold accountable, you passed the ordinance, now let's make it real. Thank you.
Our last two speakers are going to be on the non-agenda item list, and that our first one will be Beverly Leonard.
Good evening. According to the recent findings of the National Assessment of Educational Progress, test scores for 13-year-olds fell by 9 points in math and 4 points in reading between the school year 1920 and 22-23. National reporting shows that 84% of public schools noted student behavior worsened after COVID-19, which is no surprise. Classroom disruption obviously impedes learning. According to the mandated state survey regarding health and risk factors for students that was presented to the school committee, I think it might have been maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, and I apologize, I don't know, I can't remember the names of the people that presented, but they did a great job about talking about all the issues in the schools. And the woman that had spoken had said that 2/3 of the students are not happy in school. Class size had increased from 35 to 37 students, and she said she had never, in all her years, had that many students in a classroom. Due to that limited space, there's no room for another teacher. Therefore, teachers can't be as effective with this constant disruption. Having stated these statistics, it's obvious that the overcrowding has escalated to the point where it's out of control. Modulars, I know, have been discussed and were not approved. They're only a temporary fix, as we know, and cause safety and health risks. It's obviously clear that Pope John High School is the solution for this overcrowding. Pope John is a structurally sound school. We know, yes, that it needs updates, but the opera funds can be utilized for that. We could make this a junior high school without a problem. What's unfortunate is that this had been addressed earlier. I think these students could be in the school by September. Please do what's right, revisit this situation. The children are our future. Don't they deserve better? Thank you.
And our last speaker is Margaret Cornelio.
Good evening, councilors, President Marchese. I reiterate everything the other speakers said about Pope John. As I'm going house to house for signatures, there's many parents and grandparents that are very upset about the overcrowding in the schools. They're worried. When they heard about the modulars, they were very upset because they were afraid. They go, what if, God forbid, they had a lockdown? Where are they going to be? Are they going to be more at risk? And they're like grilling me. I'm being asked questions I've never been asked before when I campaigned. So people are very upset, disappointed, and they really are in favor of Pope John becoming a junior high school. And if you took the 14 million that you were going to use for the modulars and the 10 that was going to be used for the Devons, that's already 24 million. And didn't the mayor say at one of the meetings that, he was in favor of it and he wanted it to be a gold standard he was going to make? So I don't know why it all changed, but many people, I can tell you, are very unhappy about the situation, about the schools, because they worry about their kids. And statistics they have done research that an well-educated student is less they won't get into trouble as somebody who isn't educated. They're less likely to be in criminal activity and drugs and so on. So I think the students deserve to have Pope John as a school and alleviate a lot of that overcrowding. And I think after that, they'll have to really look into what else they're going to have to do. So let's not wait. It just seems like it goes on and on and on, and the overcrowding isn't going to stop. It's just going to increase. So I urge you to revisit this. Thank you. Have a great 4th.
Motion to close public participation. Closed microphone. Closed.
Motion made second to end public participation. All in favor?
Aye.